Okay, we're here with John Jennings. He is a forage expert for the University of Arkansas Extension Service. And John, last time we talked, it was late February. We were at a forage workshop in Conway, and wintertime had given us a lot of precipitation, and that has not let up. And we're here in early May, so tell us what producers are having to deal with right now.
Well, they're still dealing with mud, and more mud. A lot of wet fields. Back in February, we talked about trying to fertilize some of those cool season pastures like fescue and ryegrass early to get off of hay and get on some spring pastures a little quicker. With all the continued rain, that made it difficult. Some folks were able to get that done, and they were able to start grazing, and others didn't, and so their grass has been kind of lagging behind. It's been a late spring. Grass hadn't kicked in till here just lately. So we're running in a situation now where some of it's just about the stage needs to be cut for hay, and it's just continued rain. We don't get those 2, 3, 4 day windows that we need really to get that hay cut and get it dried and get it out of the field. That's why today we're talking about baleage and some other options maybe to be able to get that harvest up. And because that producers putting up dry hay, they're going to run in a situation this year because all the continued rain, they're going to get more mature forage. It's going to be later probably in the growth stage of the grass time they get it cut, so the quality may be lower. And I just had a hay sample here that we just pulled a while ago. We're going to look at the quality, and that's something producers need to pay attention to for this first harvest, especially because it may be more mature. They need to test that and find out what quality they really have to deal with, and then pay attention to what their summer pasture is going to be. If they have that fescue and ryegrass, and a lot of those pastures may have Bermuda grass underneath of them, you can't let that cool season grass sit there all spring into summer because that will continually delay the Bermuda grass emergence. And so for those mixed pastures, even though you may get that fescue or ryegrass rained on, it's important to get it off there if Bermuda grass is supposed to come under it for your summer forage. And get that out, and so we get sunlight in that Bermuda and it can go ahead and come on. So that's a pretty key deal. If it's fescue only or ryegrass only and Bermuda grass is somewhere else, and then you can manage those separately. But in mixed fields, that key is getting that shade off that Bermuda.
Now, you had mentioned back in February that things can change quickly if the weather changes and things dry out dramatically. But also, if it continues with this precipitation, and there's a lot of flooded fields out there, what does that do for as we move into the summer and the fall?
Well, if we keep getting moisture through the summer, we're going to have good pasture growth, and eventually the grass is going to grow to the point where it's going to use that moisture, and things should dry out enough where we can start using the fields. Now, whether we convert that to hay or use it as pasture, that's up to the individual producer. But as long as we're getting moisture through the summer, that's actually a good thing. But what I've seen over the years watching this is a summer drought is not nearly as bad as a fall drought, because we can have a spring hay crop like what we have sitting out here right now. As soon as we have weather conditions where we can get it harvested, we can run into a summer drought, and pastures get short, but we have hay crop sitting in the barn. But if we have a fall drought, we don't have the option to be able to plant on winter annuals. We don't have a good option of making stockpile Bermuda grass, stockpile fescue. All these things that we have a chance to use to make up ground on that summer drought don't occur. And so a fall drought actually can cause us a lot more problems going into winter than a summer drought, because it can wreck the fall season, it can wreck the winter season because we don't have those stockpile, and it can wreck the spring season because oftentimes we overgraze those pastures and they're weak, full of weeds going into spring. So we can get a 3-season negative effect from a fall drought, where a summer drought usually, once we get through that and get a decent fall, things heal up. And so we just have to be aware of that, make sure we don't overgraze through the summer and don't overgraze in fall if we get those negative weather conditions. As long as we're keeping getting rain, rotationally graze, keep the pastures in good shape, and try to plan your hay needs so that you have enough for wintertime, but don't bale everything that grows if you don't need everything out there. We have people, a lot of times we get these wet summers and they'll bale and bale and bale, and they bale a whole lot more hay than they need, put all that expense in that forage and they can't use it, and then it rots. And so we don't want to do that. We want to plan on having that fall pasture and fertilize that, right around the 1st of September for fescue, early to mid-August for Bermuda grass for fall pasture, And if you need the winter annuals like ryegrass, wheat, rye, oats, those type of things, put your plan in place to get those in early September or October, depending on when you need that grazing to occur, and put that into your puzzle. Everybody has their own picture puzzle for their farm, and make the pieces adjust accordingly. And so everybody's farm is a little bit different, and I can't give you a cookie cutter recipe for everybody, but I can tell you how to make this forage grow, this forage grow, and this forage grow, but you got to put the pieces together for yourself.
John Jennings, an expert and professor in forage. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.